John Kennedy got threatened by Elizabeth Warren. Then John humiliated her with one sentence. The Senate chamber was a cauldron of tension, its air thick with the weight of unspoken rivalries and the hum of anticipation. Rows of polished mahogany desks gleamed under the soft glow of chandeliers, each occupied by senators whose eyes darted between notes, tablets, and one another, sensing the storm brewing beneath the surface. The session was meant to address the allocation of disaster relief funds, a topic that carried the raw pain of millions still reeling from catastrophic floods across the nation, particularly in Louisiana. John Kennedy, the senator from Louisiana, sat at his desk, his posture relaxed, but his sharp blue eyes scanning the room with the quiet vigilance of a man who'd weathered many storms, both literal and political. His hands rested lightly on a stack of papers, fingers tapping rhythmically, betraying none of the fire that simmered within. Kennedy was no stranger to the rough and tumble of Senate debates, but nothing could have prepared him or anyone in the room for the explosion that was about to unfold. As the chamber settled, a sharp screech pierced the quiet, the sound of a chair scraping against the polished floor. Senator Elizabeth Warren rose, her presence commanding, her eyes blazing with a fire that seemed to ignite the very air around her. She clutched a thick file, her knuckles white, and her voice cut through the room like a blade. "Senator Kennedy," she began, her tone laced with accusation, "the American people deserve answers. Why have you remained silent while Louisiana drowns in the aftermath of floods? While families lose their homes, their livelihoods, their loved ones? Or are you too entangled in your political alliances to speak for those you swore to serve?" A collective gasp rippled through the chamber. Senators froze, pens hovering over notepads as the weight of her words settled like a gunshot. Reporters in the gallery above leaned forward, their fingers flying across keyboards, already crafting headlines. Warren's attack was no mere critique. It was a calculated strike designed to humiliate Kennedy in front of his peers, the press, and the nation watching live on C-SPAN. Social media was already alight with hashtags like #WarrenCalls. Out Kennedy, as users began dissecting her words in real time. Warren didn't pause for breath. She slammed the file onto her desk, the sound echoing like a thunderclap. "You've been silent, Senator Kennedy, when communities in your state begged for help. Silent when children drank contaminated water because the infrastructure failed them. Silent when entire towns were wiped out by floods that could have been mitigated with proper funding. Is your loyalty to your party so blinding that you've forgotten the people who elected you?" A smattering of applause broke out from her allies, their claps sharp and deliberate, but the rest of the chamber remained eerily silent. Eyes turned to Kennedy, waiting for a reaction. Would he falter? Would he deflect? The cameras zoomed in, capturing every micro-expression, every flicker of his gaze. But Kennedy didn't flinch. His face remained calm, almost serene, as if he were sitting on a porch in Louisiana rather than in the crosshairs of a political ambush. Beneath that calm, though, something stirred, something deep and unshakable. Memories flooded his mind, wading through knee-deep water in Baton Rouge. His boots soaked, his heart heavy as he listened to families recount their losses. He saw the face of Mary, an elderly woman whose home had been reduced to rubble. Her trembling hands clutching his as she spoke of her grandson lost to the floodwaters. Kennedy had been there not for the cameras, but in the quiet moments when despair hung heavy in the air. He had held hands, offered promises, and carried the weight of those stories back to Washington. And now here was Warren accusing him of abandoning the very people he'd sworn to fight for. The audacity of it burned, but he held his tongue, waiting. Warren pressed her attack, her voice rising to a crescendo. "Answer the question, Senator Kennedy," she demanded, pointing a finger at him, her eyes narrowing. "Why have you sat silent while your constituents suffer? Why have you failed to demand accountability for the mismanagement of relief funds? Or is it easier to stay quiet and protect your political friends?" The chamber was a pressure cooker now, the tension so thick it seemed to hum in the air. Reporters scribbled furiously, their pens scratching like insects. A few senators shifted uncomfortably in their seats, sensing that Warren was playing a dangerous game. She was betting on Kennedy's reputation as a folksy, understated figure, a man of quips and charm, not raw confrontation. She expected him to deflect with a joke, to sidestep her accusations with his trademark Southern wit. But she had miscalculated. Kennedy knew this was